Good afternoon, everyone. BC Richfield here, coming to you live from London. It's just got a couple of minutes past midday, making it a few minutes past 1100 UTC. A really big shout out to everybody joining the stream live today, as well as everybody that's going to be watching this on catch up. So, lots of blood in the water today. Sentiment has turned pretty sour, and we got a few things that we need to discuss. So, as always, our focus will be on price action with the charts. We're going to focus quite heavily on Bitcoin today, but also just to kind of take a look at the other market conditions that have led to the current situation. So there's been no secret amongst us members, people, maybe followers, bits and pieces as well, that we've been short biased for a little while now. And we're going to go through the technical reasons for that. Did we see this massive flash crash coming? No. I'm not sure anybody did, maybe other than Warren Buffett, who had offloaded a lot of high risk and tech assets as well. So we're going to take a little look at traditional markets as well. I've got this left up at the moment. We're looking at this over here. You can see S&P 500, the NASDAQ. The index is getting pretty crushed here, especially obviously anything like the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 that has a heavy weighting of technology stocks, right? We've seen Apple suffer a big sell-off. We saw the start of this kind of catalyzed with Tesla a little while ago as well. Intel, for example, down sort of 50%. So there's been a really, really big hit to tech. Now, there's a lot of different reasons for that. I think one as well is we've seen this emerging news about China and the struggles that they're facing from an economic perspective. I think that also washes through and aligns itself with the geopolitical situations, rising tensions, obviously between Israel and Palestine. I'm not going to get into kind of political views and that on this show. Personally, I find the whole thing very, very sad whenever, countries feel like they have to go to war. I've got very, very good friends on both sides of that. So look, that is what it is. Unfortunately, it's not my area of expertise, but we can see these things starting to flush through in the markets now as well. So just starting here, and let's get ourselves a nice clean chart, shall we? By the way, guys, girls, if you've got any questions at all, please don't hesitate to ask. The comment function is there. Please be respectful of others. And let's crack on, okay? Hey, Seb, Nick, Geo, Craigie boy, everybody else in the stream, apologies if I've missed you saying good morning. Obviously been a busy morning this morning, been with the trading team from sunup, looking at the market situations and catalysts. But just once again, just to look at the tickers here, right? The only thing that's up, and it's up astronomically, is the VIX. Look at this. I think it's potentially going to be the biggest candle I've ever seen if it closes anywhere near as it is at the moment. Kind of got our key levels here, and seeing it up above this is just showing extreme volatility, right? So we're going to take a little look at these things a little bit closer as well, but let's kind of get our focus here on Bitcoin. Now, the reason that we've been bearishly biased and been very open about this, you can go back and take a look on the streams. The target, as shared, is 53,485. The reason for that was the early occasions when we inverse this fair value gap, right? So gaps like this, you're looking for them to offer support if we're looking for continuation to the upside. Failure of these gaps just tells me that the buyers aren't here, and then we look for the next key port of liquidity for price to run to, which is actually here. So using those very, very simple that very simple premise. The other thing that's, that we can't rule out just yet is this gap here. Now, yes, we've got to wait a week, right, before we get the close. But something that's interesting me here is, this area not being retested at any point. If we draw this in as the top line of the order block, very, very skinny one, right? But, that's where, that was the base, that was the consolidation that led to this really big expansion higher. Now, we need to remember that this candle here could quite comfortably close back within this, right? So if we think of this, we draw this in green to show it as an area that, look, support, buyers stepped in here, price revisited again, came down, found the clean air below this low. That's why these lows are so key to watch out for, lows that are within fair value gaps. All right, great liquidity pools. We saw that reaction here. Now, using the same principles, something that caught us out a little while ago was this, right? So we had this bearish gap. Price closed above this here. We were looking for this, to supply the bounce. Actually worked really well for us initially. We got ourselves on the really nice right side of this bias up to here. Expectations then were for price to come and go after these equal highs. excuse me, and go up to these equal highs. Ultimately, we've seen a really big failure here, right? And we've actually left a failure swing, meaning that, one side of it depends if you're an optimist or a pessimist, right? But I think after flushes like this, it's key to kind of look where the key liquidity is resting, right? And there's a lot of it up here to the upside. So I'm not saying that we're going after this right now, but, at the moment, we're so very low here. The price doesn't recover this area. We've simply got another gap down here that we would look to target. Again, I'll just do it in green for anybody that's maybe new to this. Williest, hello, mate. Hope you're doing well. But ultimately, a really, really key liquidity target here, 38,555. Are we going that low? I don't know. I don't know anybody that knows for sure, right? What I would say is that when we're kind of utilizing this kind of system, or we're looking at it from a liquidity perspective, it's just important to be consistent, right? Now, the other thing you'll note is when we inverted this gap here, that's why it's purple, the same as this one here, because it was a bearish gap, closed above it. We looked to this area to be tested as support, played out really well, came up. But ultimately, what's been happening here is price has been finding liquidity above the weekly highs, right? So price came into this weekly high, swept it. What happened? Corrected, moved lower. Price then set this weekly high here. What happened? Price opened, took that liquidity. That was the catalyst for the really key sell-off that we've seen, all right? Now, this weekly close here last week was a huge candle, right? Biggest that we can see on the screen. And we violated this, and then this, which was supposed to offer support, got violated as well. So it was a natural progression now down into this low. So where do we go from here? Well, quite simply, we need to ask ourselves, first of all, where price is delivering from. So we can see we've got lots of bullish gaps down here. These gaps are formed when, basically there's just so many buy orders in here. The orders aren't pairing, right? So you get these inefficiencies. Market likes to be efficient. So you very, very often, almost always see them revisited. The time period in which can obviously be debatable. You can see some gaps that don't get filled for months or years, right? So it doesn't always have to happen. No certainties in trading. We play a game of probabilities. So I want to kind of drop this down onto the lower time frame now. And actually, one of the things that I really want to kind of look at here is I want to remove some of this stuff from the chart because I don't want it to offer unnecessary distraction. We know that we're in the gaps here. We know that we've got this level. So we can just bin all of that off and move ourselves down to a daily to find a bit more context. Now, this was always going to be a really nice area around here because we simply had a lot of kind of flat lows, in here. We can see this area. We had this consolidation, right, before this expansion move higher. So, there was some aggressive buying happened there before. Let's see now what happens now we've got down to here. A really natural take profit level. We've been targeting this ourselves quite simply for those exact same reasons. Now, another thing to watch here is, people saying about this drop. Look, the signs have been there, right? We've had this nice recovery here. Ultimately, price came up. And when we took these highs here, you can see just by looking at the candles, right? Price's inability to get above this long wick doji candle showing indecision in the market. This little pin bar showing us that, or hammer candle, depending on how you look at it, showing us that there was room to progress there, that buyers were stepping in. This was a beautiful pin bar with a kind of short to medium nose there that led to this progression higher. Ultimately, what happened was we took the high of the weekend here, and then we just saw this massive sell-off begin. Okay, yo, Raz, how you doing, my brother? So where are we now? Look, other signs that we had here. Look how we engaged with this level. This key low again looked like a really nice buying opportunity here when we got this daily close, right? Thursday, 1st of August, start of the new month. Nice pin bar candle, but this huge engulfing candle afterwards told us a lot. Right, it did tell us a lot. And again, if we're looking at this from the perspective of our gaps offering us the support, we can see that we got confluence and confirmation from this breakdown at the close of this candle, right? Meaning that yesterday we already had some key indicators that the market was looking weak. So what do? I mean, this for me is not the time to be jumping into shorts, right? I think the time to jump into shorts is, higher up, sounds really simple, and longs lower down. Really looking at this to be a potential area to see a reaction, right? And the other reason for that, I'm just going to pop back to this quickly on the weekly, just looking at the most recent expansion, our most recent impulse move higher, which is this, and then looking at this from the perspective of the Fibonacci, we kind of come into this really key area of interest here, right? The golden pocket and the 705. I mean, 705 literally touched to the cent, right? Or to the point. So what have we done? Well, we've swept key liquidity from this low, right? We're reacting within this order block, within this fair value gap that's in here as well. And we're currently holding the larger fair value gap that we spoke about too. Now, one thing we can't account for in these charts, right? The charts will tell us what has happened. It will give us a fair reflection of what the market is doing. This and these are facts, right? These candles have printed. This is exactly what price has done. What's very hard to quantify or qualify are things like the geopolitical effects that you have from war or from major economic crisis, okay? You know, and there's a lot of that turmoil out there at the moment, even if you look towards the US, to the elections, right, to the potential, you know, the Trump assassination attempt, all of these things, you can see that there's just been this kind of hornet's nest building, and it's just taken that kind of poke or that aggravation of that to cause this effect. So for me, actually, I'm looking for opportunities in here. Now, that's not to say that I think the market's just going to have a massive bounce from here. And, you know, if we take a look at our news updates as well, just using the basic one here on Trading View, you can see things. Look at the news that's coming in. Very bearish news. Cryptocurrency markets capitalization registers largest daily drop since 2022. Yeah, Bitcoin to 1 million next year, far more likely now. Samsung, you could just these little snippets of news, right? Some positive, but there is a lot of negative going in, right? And that shows you the shift in sentiment. Look, 14 minutes ago in the block, crypto investment products saw 528 million in net weekly outflows amid recession fears. Okay, so you know, we need to be aware of this, but at the same time, we also need to look technically at where we're at. So I'm going to get rid of these bits now. I'm going to turn the session breaks off here so it makes it a bit cleaner for everyone. And if we just look at this here, quite simply, we don't need to be trying to catch knives here, right? Catch falling knives. Yes, we've taken some quick key liquidity. If we draw back here on the golden pocket to this area, yeah, we can see what we got here. We can see the nice kind of, you know, if we get rid of this for a second, you could, in a very kind of loose way, I suppose, look at this as kind of a power of three type move. Your consolidation, very small manipulation there. All right. And then obviously followed by this huge expansion higher. So this consolidation here is a key point. And Razun, who's just joined the stream, by the way, for any of you that don't follow him, please make sure to go and give him a follow. One of our top analysts over at the Nest, and really looks at things from a volume profile, bits and pieces, and have the fortune of working with a really exceptional trading team, of which Raz is one of. And we're discussing this consolidation here. I know it's playing a kind of key part in his thinking, as well as a lot of other top analysts that I know. It's not to say, look, I'm not saying just bid this thing like crazy, but I am saying, look, let's kind of watch this area here and let's say to ourselves, okay, you know, what's happening in here? Yeah, what can we look at? What can we see? What kind of recoveries do we want? Now, on a 4-hour scale, yeah, if we're framing it around this, then something I'm really interested in here is this big gap. All right, so we've got this big bearish gap. I'm just going to get rid of this for a moment. This for me is a key area. I think price to really show some strength here. If you're a player that wants some confirmation, then I think you want to see this closed above, held, and then look for progression in that way. All right. No, you're not going to be catching a falling knife down here in kind of, you know, the early 50s. You're going to have to wait for mid 50s, at least maybe latter 50s here. But in terms of that confirmation, and even here, you know, you still want to kind of employ some caution. However, if you want to approach this very aggressively, right, and we're looking down here on our hourly, then maybe we could look at it as something like this. By the way, the red box on here is representative of Asia's range. Okay, so that's the volume and area that we're monitoring in Asia in terms of its trading, you know, often looking for liquidity above and below that on an intraday basis, just to give you some context. Let me just turn that off for a moment. Indicator, by the way, made by one of our very own trade club members over at the Bird Nest, a very good friend of the show called Geo. So what are we looking at here? Well, again, you want to see weakness turn to strength, right? It's a very good way to look at it. So we've got the swing high here. I'm just going to get rid of this stuff now just to tidy it up. We can see we've swept this key liquidity. Nice reaction here, all right? So a couple of areas that I'm interested in here. I want to see how price reacts at this, which is the immediate swing high. But I want to see us have a strong close above this as well, right? So we've got these down close candles here. Now we want to see price kind of come up and have that close above. Right now, one thing that is worthy of note, like I said, I'm not really looking to be short in this market here at the moment, but price has just confirmed this bearish order block here as well with a close below. However, if we're looking at this, then we want to say to ourselves, look, you never want to just have a plan one way, especially in these conditions. I certainly don't. Right, I'm looking to overlay a higher time frame bias, and I'm looking at how I can maneuver within the nuance within that. Right, so this, for example, gives us a good indication that okay, market's looking a bit weak here. Yes, we have kind of had a change in state of delivery here, which some of you might know, especially if you're someone that's studied any of Michael or ICT's work or any kind of original real price action, looking at order blocks, supply, demand, etc. Key thing is when you're in a downtrend, we expect these up close candles, and I look at the bodies more than the wicks. But we expect these up close candles to provide resistance. So what happened? We closed below the up close candle. What happened? Price sold, came back, tested the order block here. We continue to our sell-off. Where did we sell off to? Well, clear and obvious is the next point of liquidity. So if we apply those same principles here, let me just get rid of this for a minute and turn this red to show this is an untapped target. If we're looking at this here, well, there's the order block, the up close candles. We've seen a strong close below that now. If you are someone looking to chase this shorter, I'm not. All right, I want to see this settle because we have come into this key liquidity area. For me, much more interested to see price, do something like this. Wait for us to recover that structure. All right, because being in a key area of liquidity here, I think this is, these areas are made for sweeping more than anything, especially after seeing a long downside wick like this. However, price action wise tells us that this is looking weak. So if we were looking for breakdowns here, we'd be looking for the opposite. All right, we'd be looking at this on, Simon, how are you doing, my friend? Love that profile picture. It looks pretty epic, mate. Tone, how are you doing, my man? Yeah, very interesting day indeed. Tony, very good friend of mine and long time Nest advocate as well with a lot of our fam over there. But I bet you're glad you're more in the Forex markets today, Tone. Lovely, actually, interesting enough. So Tony's a very good Forex trader. Just looking down here, Aussie JPY was a good play today, mate. I tell you that. And Aussie USD seems to have got some action as well. So keen to see what your opinion is on that later. But here we are, say, down on the 5 minute, right? So what are we looking for here? We can see we've got that big purge here. Now we've taken liquidity from the highs. I'd be interested in about 5 minutes to see something like this, to give you a real insight here. Normally don't really share this kind of stuff, but I'd be watching this gap here, right? If price leaves this as it is, we're going to see this in about 20 seconds, then I think any strong closes below this show us that the momentum is really kind of looking to the downside now, remembering that this black line represents a higher time frame order block, price working its way into this, right? If we see a breakdown here, or if we see a shift in structure, for example, you see a nice impulse move lower here, taking out this low, then we want to see if we're left with a gap here that we can revisit and then look to short lower. Like I said, I think it's very, very dangerous to short in these conditions because we've seen so much downside. But being from a purely price action perspective, maybe price is still looking for lower, or maybe that sell pressure is still there and just too intense. We're about an hour and 10 minutes away from the pre-market open for the US markets as well, which I think will play a big part. So we want to see how that plays out. However, we've got this here at the moment. This should be offering support to price. Yeah, I think strong closes below this will show a little bit of weakness. And if you're looking for those intraday plays to the downside, then, again, approach with caution, but you've got pre-made liquidity targets in these run of lows starting from here and going up to here. All right. So that's how I'd be looking at the minute. I'm not really interested in anything other than intraday plays. That's my area of specialty regardless. However, in terms of looking to get into positions, I think we need to see a little bit more calmness from the market here. And ideally, like I said before, you want to be seeing things like structural recoveries, but also a good key indication of these inversions, right? So just to kind of bang the old drum again, especially for anybody part of our trade club or that, we'll get this quite a lot, but, big bullish gap here. What happens? We close below it. You're then looking to chase down the next liquidity targets, right? So we got this swing low here. And we got this key swing low, which is really the main area we would be interested in here. Purely because look at the long downside wick. It comes within a fair value gap. This is more of an internal low, all right? But to allow for both, you can just kind of mark up that area. Look how this area goes to just offer, resistance, right? So look, Buyers stepped in here, chased it all the way up to here. If buyers are going to step in again, we'd expect that kind of nice V-shaped recovery here, or certainly a decent recovery, violation of some of these gaps, like this one, for example. What happens? Price looks heavy here, heavy. And then again, we see what happens when price breaks down below the up close candle here. What do we expect from the up close candles? Like we said before, if we're looking at them as an order block, we expect these up close candles to offer resistance, right? And that's exactly what happens here. Price closes below it, we retest into it and sell off, kind of like we'd be looking at on the lower time frames down here. So it's a tricky one at the moment. I think we're in a pretty interesting spot. Initial kind of recovery at this low has been pretty decent, I would say. And we'll see where we kind of go for that. BTX, my friend, I'm so sorry, mate. I'm not Adrian. I just don't have that quality beard and beautiful Polish accent, I'm afraid, mate. My Polish is horrendous. Although they do keep trying to teach me some bits and pieces, maybe like Dzień dobry or, tak, for example, my limited Polish. So I can't read your beautiful comment, I'm afraid, my friend, but please do feel free to reach out afterwards and I'll happily pass this on to Adrian for you. So yeah, I don't really know what else to say here, guys. Watching this level, funny enough, QBS Graphics, who really close friend of mine and obviously a wonderful member of the Nest, team member of the Nest, was saying as well about this stream about how you can basically open any chart at the moment and it is just a bloodbath, right? Obviously not including the Forex markets, but look, 18, 20, 22% down, some of these even more, 25%, right? We've seen one or two very small outliers, but very few and far between in that FTT, for example. So one thing that I did want to kind of touch upon today, it's a very good point from our friend Nick, right? Sit on hands. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of people out there that the portfolios are down, things are looking really awful. Look, your portfolio management is completely up to you, but really times like this, if you've not got out of these, are probably not the time to be panicking and panic selling, right? For example, you've bought in up here and you've now lost all of this. People will get frustrated. People will, be looking at these things and, as we've done and we're doing on the show right now, we're looking at these kind of key liquidity areas and people think, God, this could go to the mid 30s. This thing could come all the way back down here. Look, the truth of the matter is that when you zoom out, right, you can see quite comfortably, this market ebbing and flowing and moving and correcting. Big pumps, big dumps, areas of consolidation, huge rips, massive corrections, right? Followed by huge rips again, followed by painful grindings down and long endurance-based bear markets. But if you just zoom out and look at the action overall, okay, then, that very unlikely that crypto's over. We've heard it so many times, right? All the China FUD, so much China FUD over the years about them banning Bitcoin, about this. We've been through the COVID crash. We've been through Evergrande over there, right? We're now going into, recession fears. We've had huge inflationary problems globally, right? Which the Fed in America and the UK and Europe and China and everyone are trying to fix at the moment, right? Interest rates are rising. It's putting the squeeze on the average person. The cost of living is getting higher. And disposable income is going down. All of that considered, if you're in this game as a positional player and somebody that sees this as value, and that's what you need to remember when you're investing. You're saying to yourself, all right, do I see this as value at this level? Am I willing to hold this for a long period of time? And if the answer to that is yes, then quite simply, you just need to chill. You need to zoom out, right? And you need to say to yourselves, okay, well, where are these buying levels then? If I'm happy to keep it, where am I looking? Where am I happy to buy more? Well, I'm definitely happy to buy more here. I'm not saying we're going to come there. Do I think that we are? Not really. But I'm more than happy to bet, or in here. And then people say to you, yeah, but what if price goes all the way down to here? Look, this is me, right? I'm not telling you what to do, but I'd be loading up aggressively down here as well. What you're doing is you're playing your odds against a black swan event where they basically just ban cryptocurrency, etc. That's going to be really difficult. When you remove all the noise, you remove the fear and you look at the logic, Bitcoin ETF approval, Ethereum ETF approval. What do we see in these things? There's that old saying, right? Buy the rumor, sell the news. We very rarely see that immediate rip people think that you're going to see happen with Bitcoin with the ETF, right? We saw that corrected period before price really started to get back on its horse. Now seeing something similar with ETH, right? Yes, we've got to plug in a lot of kind of geopolitical issues and stuff like that as well. But typically those things will start to get priced into the markets, all right? So I would just say from this kind of perspective, and I don't want to talk too much on this because I'm not in any way a psychologist. I can only give you examples of what I've been through personally, and how I use that experience and apply it to current market conditions. But what I would say is we have a wonderful and very, very talented psychologist, your NLP coach, who works with us over at the Bird Nest. And I think he is going to put a show on later for everyone. So please do keep a look for that. I'll get it shared out on my Twitter as well. You know, he's got a wonderful way of looking at these markets, you know, and a fantastic trader as well, right? So having both of those overlay, I think, is going to give us some really, really good insight. But something I do really want to cover with you guys right now. Let me see, because for anybody that knows about the show will know that I'm not the most technically proficient human being going, but I have managed to share this one slide, right? Look, we understand people are suffering. We've got a lot of people DMing us right now, okay, and we appreciate that. You know, there's loads of you out there that haven't been exposed to the Bird Nest, that haven't been with us for this amount of time, haven't been able to kind of heed the warnings about this stuff happening. And there's, you know, a lot of very good groups out there as well. But this for me is something I'm incredibly passionate about. It's a team of traders that is a massive honor of mine to work alongside and to manage in some respects. Not they take a lot of managing, been profitable every month for 18 months straight now. I think even in these conditions, we've had the short bias up for a while. I'll show you also with BPro, which is our in-house indicator, how you can use, you know, stuff like this to such great effect. In fact, if I just get all of this stuff off the chart here, and let's just start on the 4 hour, I'm going to pop this up over here. This has just been really, really good in helping us keep within the trend, right? So this is our in-house indicator called the Burbicator Pro. It's all been built around Crypto Burb's trading system that he's been using this year as well. And you can see here, look, this thing got us bearish with confirmation here at 67.256. All right. Now, there's many ways you can use this indicator. I use it a lot for the trend, okay, especially in kind of intraday perspectives. But realistically, look, really, when you're above this, yeah, the light grey line, it means that you've got a bullish exposure, or you should be looking for bullish exposure. And, you know, oh yeah, thanks, Nit. Let me change that back for over there. 1 second. Always forgetting to change my screen over. You can tell I'm not very well versed with this system yet, right? But looking at this here, right, our in-house indicator, we can see here we got an 81% divergence signal. So this is a very, very smart divergence system. It takes 10 or 11 different indicators, works it out as an average, and gives you a percentage. So I have it set for the stronger divergences. Tells me that the oscillators disagree with the price action and that we could be corrective moves. You know, you get moves like this, for example, but look, once we flip the trailer here, we still got some nice short opportunities. So it's all about overlaying this, but the high time frame trailer is key. Yeah, this on a 4 hour basis had us bearish from all the way up here. And it's just a really, really nice bit of confidence to have, right? Looking at this on a daily scale. Right, what we're now looking at here is to then overlay that and say to ourselves, right, I know I just deleted this, but if we're looking at this level as a consolidation, yeah, and we can see on here that we're bearish, well, we can wait on this level here, draw up our key levels like this consolidation, go back to our lower time frame charts here and say, okay, great, well, we can wait for the flip of this to come back to bullish. The reason that I'm showing you guys this, right, let me just flick this back on now as well, is because, you know, we have got a really exciting announcement, and basically, look, we want to help people in these market conditions, and we've got all of the skills to do that. We've got a vibrant community. We've got literally every style of trading you can imagine, from algorithmic trading through to price action courses. You get, and basically, look, long and short of it is we're giving you all free access to this if you want it. It's just to give a little bit of something back to the market. You know, very, very blessed to work with some of the very best traders, some of the very best people, and have one of the very best communities out there as well. And we really want to share that with everyone at the moment. Okay, so if it is something you're interested in, then please pop me a message at BC Richfield, you know, you can tag me in a post and we'll get everything drawn up for that. It's a decision we made this morning at our trading meeting. We had a lot of people DMing, a lot of people asking for help, and, you know, just a little bit of something that we're going to do. I think we're going to open everything up, all the courses, you know, access to everything, the calls, the stats, the trading team, etc. And all the education, of course, as well as the community. We're going to open that up for a good couple of months, right? Help people kind of get back on their feet. So if you are Interested, please do let me know. All right. Crypto 101. Hello, mate. Retest. Yeah, funny enough, we were just looking at the weekly Fibonacci. I'll have another little look for you in a moment, mate, to show you that as well. But I do think that, yeah, I think, we're at the golden pocket at the moment when we look at it like that. So it could be one of those things where we see something kind of coming in, but let's wait and see. Remind me at the end, guys, I will pop that back up for you all so you can take a look. All right. And then if you are interested, like I said, shoot me a DM. I've also shared a tweet about it earlier as well. So you can find the link for that. You can go through on Crypto Burb's tweet as well. We'll get everything set up later today after the live show, and you'll have all of that ready for you. All right. So Dale, really interesting point. Yeah, really chuffed to see this. So, right. So what our friend here is referring to, actually, hang on, let me find the ticker for you in a second, is Saitachain, right? So really good partner of TDN's for a while and really, really holding up well. Going to actually do a piece about it. So I don't want to ruin it because we're going to actually do a piece about it on Wednesday. Yeah. So make sure to keep your eyes on that. Be really, really cool for them and the team over there who have, just worked really, really incredibly hard on this all the way through. So I think a lot of kudos for them. Amin, hello. Do you see a Head and Shoulders on TAO playing out? Okay, well, yeah. I don't see why we can't take a little look. So hang on, first of all. Let's just take a very quick peek here, right, on Mexi, just to give you a little sneak peek of something we're going to look at here. So notice how we're kind of in this key consolidation here. This led to this pump here. So whether you're looking at this one here or this one here, really kind of key areas to look at in terms of the expansion on the daily. We can see we've got this gap just below. I think there's going to be a lot of assets like this at the moment that have run some key liquidity that are looking pretty strong, that we can kind of look up to and find some potential opportunities, right? I'm not saying buy now. I'm not saying just throw your money into the markets. What I'd really recommend is coming over, joining us at the Nest, getting the insight from the professional trading team, everyone through from fundamental analysts, price action like myself. We've got algo traders, and just come and engage with that. Use these opportunities to gobble up on all the information and education that you can, especially for free. But thank you for that, Dale. Yeah, absolutely chuffed for Saitachain. Now, just very quickly, what do we ask here? You know what I mean? Yeah, sure. Let's look at this one, shall we, on TAO. So let's look on here. Head and Shoulders on TAO playing out. Maybe, are you looking at this kind of on the 4 hour? Just trying to get a little idea on what frame. Let's get rid of these for a moment. I mean, I'm definitely not a pattern trader, mate. I'm not really seeing a massive sell-off there, right? I'm not really seeing a Head and Shoulders here per se, right? So okay, on the daily or weekly, huge scary Head and Shoulders. Hang on, I'm potentially not on the right ticker. Am I TAO? Yeah, bit sensor. There we go. Let's see. So worried about a big Head and Shoulders playing out. Okay, so here on the daily, yeah, thanks, mate. I just managed to flick across onto this one here. Okay, so are you worried about it looking a little bit like this, maybe, that we've got something like that, and now we're about to set the next shoulder and then have that sell off? Because that's typically how these work. These patterns, again, I'm not an expert for these, right? But you're normally looking low part of, of this area here, I think, to be retested. Yeah, you're very right there. Yeah, it doesn't have all of the data, does it? So, yeah, I mean, it could be. I would say that you've kind of got that. I mean, how I would be looking at that, and you can absolutely see it as that, by all means. Let me take a look at the weekly as well and just see. Oh, Christ, I see what you mean on the weekly. This does look very clean, actually, right? So it looks like this might be the shoulder getting set here as well. I mean, it looks quite equal here. Again, I'm not the expert here, but quite often with these Head and Shoulder patterns, I believe that you're looking at you know, this kind of low area here, and you look for a kind of slightly deeper, yeah, like a Quasimodo type thing. I know so I'm kind of changing the pattern here a little bit, but that would be a very, very clean head and shoulders where that is at the moment, that's for sure. And I can absolutely see that. I would always say, you know, obviously Crypto Burb is probably one of the most knowledgeable traders that I know. CMT level 3, but don't really know what else to say to anybody, any doubters out there other than that. But good luck if you want to try and get to that level of qualification. A lot of dedication. But Axel Kaibar, another CMT trader, exceptional with patterns, probably the most knowledgeable pattern trader I've ever come across. Had the pleasure of speaking to him before at our free trading congress. That guy's just a wealth of knowledge. But what I'd be looking for here, my friend, if it's of interest to you, and if not, I won't be offended at all. But this area here definitely has my attention. Now, I would expect some kind of strong reaction here. See how we left this failure swing? People will hear me talk about these failure swings quite a lot. It's just when you set like a swing low or a swing high next to a key swing low or swing high, just, you know, how often these things then get taken. And again, we saw we had this weekly inversion last week, like a lot of crypto, right? It's going to look very, very similar here. We got the first indication of weakness further up here on a weekly scale, right? Got this close below here, perfect retest into here, also into this order block, these up close candles. Remember, when you're bearish, you want to be seeing the up close candles defending price for you. All right, I use the bodies personally, but bodies to the top of the wick, unless it's an abnormal wick, in which case I'll then just use body to body. But this here, we got the close below, violated this provided support here, close below, resistance, chased down this liquidity here, and ultimately has just kind of been in free fall since. But we have to deal with what price is doing now. And what price is doing now is delivering from a bullish gap, right? Delivering from a bullish gap is swept a key low. Why am I really, really interested in this low? Well, I want to see how price closes below it, right? Or if it does at all. Because quite often when you look at these, if you take a key low, let's use this one as an example here, and just pop this into replay for a second. See how we've got this wick low here, right? Price coming in. So, you know, without seeing a strong close below it, there's an expectation that you're going to see, you know, price go up higher. So we got that, right? And then look, you got the sweep of the level, and then we got a little bit of a correction in price, right? So as price kind of continues to play out here, see price moving higher, where to? Well, now we've taken liquidity above this higher. And what's the reaction like there? You can see price getting sold, and this is getting sold off quite aggressively here, right? Price ultimately then seeking liquidity lower, right? Which it does here. And again, you know, if we now draw this back, this is the level capping the market. This is where the recent liquidity was taken from. So now we expect price to rebound, which it did, okay? However, you can see here the long upside wick on the close of that. It shows that the sellers are really kind of stepping in here, right? That's a longer wick than this one. Small body tells you a little bit of indecision, but definitely a drop lower, okay? And ultimately, we then see that level recovered a little bit, but what happens? We get the close below it, right? And then once it gets below it, you can see really kind of then just makes a beeline for that next liquidity pool. Okay, so that's the way to kind of look at these. The reason I've drawn that up there is because that's now how I'm looking at this level, right? I want to see what price does here. If we get that strong close below, where's price moving to? Well, we've got these inefficiencies, these gaps down here. And then ultimately, I think the next clear point here are these kind of relative equal lows, which I think will be a big liquidity pool. Again, not saying that we're gonna head there. Would really like to kind of see this area held. But that would be my thought process. And to break it down even more, I'd be looking at these bearish gaps here to see price start to close above them and see if we get that early resurgence. The 4 hour as well would be a key ground for me. Ultimately, if we're looking at this purely from a price action perspective, price is delivering from a bearish gap at the moment, meaning that the most likely target, is the downside here, which is at 162.18. However, close above this, I think we see the early signs of a resurgence, but obviously longing with caution. Yeah, no, do you know what? We'll finish up on VRA for our friend Sage here, and then we're going to call it a day, all right? There's not tons more to be said. Like I said, at the moment, we're just going to kind of scramble away, get everything that we can together for you guys so that we can get the Discord opened up and just help everyone out really. So please do remember, all you have to do is this, just flick me a DM. Everything's getting set up at the moment, right? So that's why I just need, we just need a little bit of time to make sure all the access and everything is available for you all. And then when that's in, just shoot me a DM. I'll make sure you get sent everything over. All right, it's completely free. There's no sign up, there's no deposit, there's no nonsense like that. You just literally get access and can focus on the education side. That's what I would recommend anyway. So that's where we are. So for our friend, let's take a very quick look at VRA and then we will call it a day. All right, actually, well, let's look at the spot one. Probably be a little bit more relevant, won't it, for spot for most people. So VRA, okay, maybe doesn't have the full history here on Bybit, right? But we can see as we're in here, you know, the key kind of pivot point really, this low, all right, is definitely of interest here, right? We can see what happened. Price got support here, closed below it. Now look to have retested it. But we have kind of again taken liquidity below this low. So I think on a weekly scale, the area that I'd be kind of interested in here are a couple of things, is to see how price reacts at this level. I think we close above here, then I think we draw higher. Obviously, we got our first indication that we'll be some more downside here when we set this order block. Yeah, so remember, price came up to pretty above this high. Yeah, I think just maybe snuck into this FVG here. When we closed below the order block here, the likelihood of us seeking liquidity below this low was really high. So price opened up this week and we flushed that now. So on a weekly scale, that's what I'm looking for. But I think definitely about being a bit more granular at the moment if we want to kind of catch some of these moves. So now we've kind of had that reaction. Order block on KuCoin chart. Yeah, exactly right. That's exactly what I was looking at there in terms. Did you mean the weekly, my friend? So this one here, yeah. So this we can see with the up close candles becoming the bearish order block as we kind of close below it here. So this area here is going to be quite key for price. On a daily scale, you know, we can see all the work that price has got to do, right? We still need to see a recovery of this. If we want to see a structure break, we're all up here somewhere. So the daily is looking very, very heavy. I think for anybody that's kind of got a bit of gumption about them or wants to trade this quite aggressively, then yeah, again, I'd be looking at this 4-hour bearish gap where we're currently getting rejection from. Price continues to reject it. You know, we stay with the trend. Trend is our friend until the end. Do be aware that we're very low and we have kind of run a key liquidity target here in this low. So, you know, again, whether it's people taking profit or people positioning themselves, these are areas to expect a reaction. However, look at the close below there, pretty aggressive. So downside target here on VRA is 0.002179. Close above this, however, and we can see as we look across here, right, we got a lot of untapped highs offering liquidity all the way up here. So price could get itself into a mode whereby it starts hunting that down and you get that kind of wildfire effect where it just kind of catches. All right, and then looks to move higher. Just a little bit of insight for you, certainly for the area that I specialize in. If we're looking for any intraday trades, yeah, or opportunities, we've taken liquidity below Asia's low here as well. If we're looking at this with a Fibonacci, we can see this current expansion. Nice little dip here below here. You see this, right? What would this represent? Well, quite simply, this is a big and beautiful breaker block. You'll see them on my chart in orange more often. Come down into here below this 50%, and especially if we start tickling into the golden pocket here, as long as we hold this area, I think this is, you know, a good area to watch for some longs. I think we start violating this and closing just gives us more expectation that we're breaking down towards that low. All right, guys. So look, I hope it's been useful. Please, please, please do remember that you can come and get access very, very soon, completely for free. You won't be charged. We can open it up, I think, for 2 months for everybody. It's got all the education material you could ever possibly want. You get access to the full trading team, all of our calls, our P&L, all of our trades, a really, really vibrant community. I think there's always opportunity in moments like now, right? You know, to hark back to an old pit trader story, and a pit trader that I used to know used to scream at people and just say, look, you don't buy when it's green. You buy when there's blood in the water. You sell when it's green, right? Now, timing that and getting that right is obviously the tricky part, right? But if there's anything we can do to help you with that, and I know for a fact there is, because we've helped literally thousands of people since 2017, then please do pop over and check it out. What have you got to lose? All right, guys, look, just want to take a moment to wish you all a fantastic week ahead. I know there's a lot going on at the moment. Take a step back, take a breath, use this as a reminder to yourselves to not overexpose yourself to these markets. These are risk markets, all right? Make sure that if you have taken the hit now, make sure that you use it. You use that fuel, that fire to kind of get inside you and make sure that you focus on your education, you focus on your management, you focus on your risk management, right? If you've been caught out here, use this as the reason to why you won't get caught out again, all right? But apart from that, wishing you all a fantastic week ahead. You're very welcome, Sage, Nit, all you other legends on here today. Too many of you to mention. Really do appreciate you all giving up your time to listen to me. And yeah, remember, just pop me a DM. I'll make sure you're hooked up with all the materials that you need. Please remember, I will never DM you first, all right? So just DM me. If you hear from someone claiming to be me, ignore it. Just DM me at BC_Richfield, okay? Or look for the Crypto Burb tweet that I have shared on Twitter. All right, guys. Yeah, good sentiment, Geo. Love that. Hope to see you guys in with us as well. Please do come along. Geo, the legend who's actually responsible for making this indicator for us. So lots of talent kicking about. Have a fantastic week ahead, guys. I'm going to be back with you all on Wednesday as well. All right, trade safe, trade smart, and I look forward to seeing you all at the nest.